Welcome to the part of the show where we're doing measurement and geometry LANTITE. Any questions, just leave it in the comments below. So first things first, what temperature is shown in this thermometer? Thermometer goes past the 37 value, which would be right there. And then it's got 1, 2, 3, it's up to the third one. There's 5 that goes up to the 38. So that means each line represents a fifth of the way from 37 to 38. Okay, and because we've done 37 and 3/5, we just need to think of what is a fifth of 1 degree of 1 whole degree. If we were to divide that by 5, we'll get 0.2 and 0.2. And because we've got 3 lots of 0.2, it's 37 plus 3 lots of 0.2, and hopefully you know that 3 lots of 0.2 equals 0.6. So it's actually 37.6 degrees Celsius. Let's see. A machine in a supermarket is set to cut slices 3.5 millimeters thick from a piece of ham that's 28 centimeters long. How many slices can be cut? So as is always the case, you want to have these things in the same amount of units, or the same type of unit. So at the moment we've got millimeters and centimeters. I should hopefully know that 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter, which means if I'm going to have them both in millimeters, which is my plan at the moment, I'll need to multiply this one by 10. So 28 times 10, just move the decimal place 1 over and you'll get 280. So this is what it looks like 1 over. The decimal place goes from there to here, and you put a 0 in its place. So 280 millimeters compared to 3.5. So it's obviously division. 280 divided by 3.5. The answer is 80, as we can see. So that's that. Now that's because I put them both into millimeters. The reason I did that is because if I'm going to put this one into centimeters, that means I end up putting the decimal place 1 to the left, and I end up getting something that is 28 centimeters long, and I need to divide that by something that is 0.35 centimeters. But again, it's the exact same thing. Just like we did 280 divided by 3.5, we can do 28 divided by 35. It will give us the same thing. 28 divided by 0.35, 80. Same thing, just a different way of going about it. Alright, question. I'll turn off the light. Don't know if we need it much. Alright, 2b. Machine in a supermarket set to cut 2.5 mil from something that is 40. I'm going to do the same thing again. 40 divided by 2.5 won't work. You need to have it in the same units. So first up, 40 times 10 equals 400. Then I'll do 400 divided by 2.5. 160. Alright, next one. Same thing again. 32 this time divided by 2.5. So it's going to be 32 times 10 equals 320. 320 divided by 2.5. 320 divided by 2.5. 128. 128 slices. Next one, Sarah weighs 160.6. According to this, how many pounds are equal to 1 kilo? Well, if 160.6 pounds equals 73 kilos, to figure out what is 1 kilo, I have to divide by 73. I guess I'm going to have to do the same thing over here. This is just a ratio question. So 160.6 divided by 73, 2.2. And if you know anything about pounds and kilos, that's the normal conversion. So remember, this is a ratio. With that colon separating one thing from another. Okay? From pounds to kilograms. Alright, and last one, the three kingdoms of Korea exist on the Korean Peninsula for the Common Era and the Common Era. Specifically, the three kingdoms period lasts from 57 until 668, inclusive of both years. Given that the year 1 BCE was followed by the year 1 CE, how many years do three kingdoms last for? So, we start at 57 BCE. To go from there to 1 BCE, from there to 1 BCE, that is 56 years. And then the following year is the year 1, we call it just 1 CE. That's another 1 year, plus 1 year. And then from 1 CE up until 668 will equal another 667 years. So obviously 1 plus 667 is 668. So if I add them all together, I get 57 plus 667. So 724, but I need to make sure that I include that last year because I'm including the first year and the last year. So I believe it should be 725. Probably could have used the calculator. More of these questions. Okay. King ruled from 32 BCE all the way to 17 CE, and there is a year 0 this time. So from 32 to 0 will obviously be 32 years. And then from 0 to year 17 CE, it's obviously going to be 17 years. So 32 plus 17 is 49. And I've got to make sure that I include that last year as well because it's inclusive of both years. So it's 49 plus 1, 50 is our answer. So yeah, I guess you got to think of it like this. Let's say if somebody was born in the year 2001, and how old are they in the year 2022? They're obviously going to be 21 years old because that's the difference between them when you do subtraction. However, because this is saying inclusive of the first year and the last, it means that you have to add something to that. So in this instance, the reign of the king in this time, if that's the years that they were reigning between, inclusive of both years, would actually be 21 plus 1, 22, which is why we added plus 1 over here. Okay? We're always going to do it whenever it's got the word inclusive. Which they seem to do every time. Alright, so same again, 13 BCE, and there is a year 0. Well, this one there's not. You've got to remember that for that one. So for this one, from 13 to 0 is 13 years. From 0 to 29 is 29 years. So add them two together, that will be 42. And then add that one equals 43. Next one, from 15 to 0 is 15 years. From 0 to 41 is 41 years. And then adding, so 15 and 41 is 56. And then add the 1 equals 57 years. Now for that next one, it doesn't have the year 0. So I'm going from 21 to 1, it's 20 years. And then it's 1 year to this, 1 year. And then from 1 CE to 14 CE is going to be another 13 years. And then I'll do my 1 for inclusive. So I'll make that 1 and 13 is 15, 15 and 20 is 35. So yeah, there's that. I find them to be the trickiest questions because they're just worded a bit funny. They're just a little weird. The rest of them should be a lot easier, I think. Recipe calls for half a kilo of plain flour and 250 grams of wholemeal flour. How much flour in grams is required altogether? So you just need to add half a kilo. Half a kilo is, if there's 1,000 grams in a kilo, it obviously needs to be half of that. So half of 1,000, hopefully we know, is 500. And then you're just doing 500 plus 250 equals 750. If you didn't know how to do the short division, this is obviously calculator friendly. 1,000 divided by 2, and have to add my 250 to that. 750 grams. Next one, same thing. This time we've got a quarter and then 300. So again, I know that there's 1,000 grams in a kilo. So 1 quarter is 250 plus I'm adding 300 equals 550. Okay, next one's a little bit funny. Not a question I've really ever seen much of. This has a perimeter of 40 centimeters. While this one has a little bit removed. What's the new perimeter? So this and this are the same. This and this are the same. This and this are the same. Those sides are all exactly the same. Everything of the top is the same, except for this has now got 3 lots of 3, whilst this shape here would have just had 1 lot of 3. It would have had this line here, except it would have been up there. So as we can see, the difference between the two of them is actually that 3 and that 3. So the difference between the perimeters would be that this one is 40 and this one is 40 plus 3 plus 3, which is 6. 40 plus 6 is 46. This one, a bit easier. This one, it says it's a perimeter of 54. This one is got the exact same side. But now, where this one has a line there, line up to here. Now it's still got the 9 centimeters across, so that's exactly the same. And then when it comes to the height, that's also exactly the same. It's got your height here, up to there, and it's got the height there, which is this last part. So really the two shapes, this dotted line and this line that I'm doing in pen now, they're exactly the same. They're just in slightly different directions and turning at different times, but if you're going to do a lap of this oval or a lap of this, it's going to be exactly the same. You're just, like I said, turning a couple more times. The actual distance is going to be identical. So 54 centimeters is the perimeter. This one, what's the perimeter of this figure? Well, first things first, I'll look to see how many sides I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 sides, and I've only got 5 values there, so we're missing a few. So this one down the bottom, that will be the same as this one there, so that's 12. So now I've got this whole square. This one here is the same thing, that's 12 at the top, so this should be 12 down the bottom. Am I missing anything? Oh yeah, and this one on the side here. This one on the side here is not a complete side because it's been cut off by where my pen is, the tip of my pen is at the moment. So that means that one must be a little bit shorter than 12. It's going to be 9 because that's exactly the same with this one. You should be able to see across from the 9, the square is here, but obviously this part has made that side shorter. So that is 9, that is 3, that makes it all 12. But anyways, that means that this side here is also 12 take 9, 12 take 3, 9. So there we go, I've got all my sides now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 12s. I know my times tables, but if you don't, 6 times 12 is 72. And then I'm just adding 9 plus 9, which is 18. 90 is our perimeter. Same thing goes for the next one. I've got 8 sides. And I've got 10, 10, 10, 10. This one down the bottom is 10. This one down the bottom is 10. This one on the side there will be 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 10 is 60. 2 times 8 is 16. Add them two together. Hopefully we know how to do that. Okay. Fence is to be erected around a school playing field. The field is rectangular in shape, measures 120 by 90. What length of the fence? What length of fence will be needed? So that means length of fence is perimeter. It's not area of playing field. Length of fence, perimeter. So very roughly 120, 20, 90, 90. You just add all those up. 120 plus 120 plus 90 plus 90. 420. 420 meters of perimeter. That's how much fence I'll need. Okay, which of the rectangles below is similar to this one? So that has the ratio of one side to the other, 7 to 5. This first one. So what I can do is I can divide each of them by 7 and by 5 and see if I get the same number. 28 divided by 7 gives me 4. So it's got 4 lots of 7. This one divided by 5 gives me 5 lots of 5. So that's a 4 to 5 rectangle, not the same as 7 to 5. 49 divided by 7 is 7. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So that is a 7 to 5 one. That is the correct answer. This one, if I was going to simplify this one would just be a 6 to 5. Because I can divide this by 2 to get 6. I can divide this one by 2 to get 5. And this one is a... Oh, hang on. Oh, have I done this one right? 7... Oh, 7 lots of 5. Ah, I've done this one the wrong way around. Sorry about that, team. So, yeah, I've done that completely wrong. This is just a 49 to 25 rectangle. Yeah, I've done it slightly wrong. So what the correct answer is the bottom one, because the bottom one has 3 lots of 7 and 3 lots of 5. So it's actually the same thing as this one, it's just 3 times bigger. So yeah, you need to make sure that you're multiplying, dividing them by the correct numbers. Yeah, did that one a little bit silly. So D is actually the correct answer. Sorry about that, everyone. I can explain that one further if need be. I think we've got a few more questions the same, so I'll get good practice. Okay, 5 to 3. This one will be 5 to 4. 5 lots of 2, 4 lots of 2. This one in lots of 2, that will be 10 to 6 or 5 to 3. So that is the same as that one there. So that's going to be the right answer. This one is just a 25 to 9. That can't be simplified any further. So with ratios, there's sort of like equivalent fractions, I guess, in this regard. They're trying to find identical ones. So just for example, let's say if you had, I don't know, 10 lots of water to 2 lots of cordial. 10 lots of water, 2 lots of cordial. You know, that would be the exact same as 5 to 1. as an example, or 15 to 3. These are all saying the same thing, so ratio of one number compared to the other. And they're also equivalent fractions. 10 to 2 and 5 to 1 and 15 and 3. They're all the same thing. Okay? Hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer. If not, there's even more practice to come. We've got a 5 to 4 rectangle. Here I can see clearly that common number will be 2. So it'll be 15 to 12, which I can simplify further to be 5 to 4. This one's a 9 to 8. This one is a 25 to 16. And this one is 5 cubed and 4 cubed. But still it's I believe that's just going to be 125 to 64. I don't think there's any way of simplifying that one further. Alrighty, next one. Well, volume of the tank is not filled with oil. Well, the not oil is this top part, and because it's 3 up and 5 all the way up, it's 5 take 3 for the height. It was 2 meters. We know that it's 4 this way, 4 that way. So they'll be the same for those dimensions there and there. So it's really just going to be 2 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16, times 2 is 32. And we put meters cubed because there's 3 different dimensions. Next one is how much oil is already in the tank. So oil is this part down the bottom. 5 times 5 times 4. So that 4 is the oil part, 7 is the entire height, so it's just 4. Oh, but it's saying how much is not filled with oil. Okay, so going to do the same again. 7 take 4. Give me my height, that's 3. So this is 3 from here to there. And it's going to be 3 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, times 3 is 75. If I didn't know that, you've got your calculator. Okay. Next one, rectangular prism has a volume of 3,200 centimeters cubed, rectangular base length of 10 and width 8. What's the height of the prism? So, obviously volume is going to be 3 dimensions, length times width times height. As an example, you can use depth or anything like that, as long as they're looking at different lines, okay? It doesn't matter really what you call them. If the base is 10 times 8, it's going to be 10 times 8 times h will equal our volume, which we know is 3,200. So 3,200 equals 10 times 8 times h. H is our unknown height. So 3,200 equals 80 times by the height. If I divide both sides by 80, then it'll get me the height by itself. The 80 will disappear. And I'll do 3,200 divided by 80 equals 40. So yeah, it's going to be 40 centimeters high. And you can confirm that if you do your 40, 80 times 10, it should get you 3,200. No, I typed that in wrong. Oh yeah, whoops. It's 40 times 8 times 10. It's 8 there. 40 times 8 times 10 should get me 3,200. Okay? So that's exactly what I've done here. Length times width times height. I figured out the height to be 40. And then when I multiply them together, they were the 3,200 which we started with. Okay? Next one, 360. So I'm going to do the same again, just a little bit faster. 360 equals 5 times 4 times h. 360 equals 20 times h. 360 divided by 20 equals, I believe, 18. 360 divided by 20, 18. Alright. Okay, so these next ones are a little bit trickier. It just depends which way you want to do it. So there's two different ways that you can go about doing this. You can either cut the blocks into two different shapes, or you can do the whole minus the missing area. So I'm going to show both ways. So I'm going to do first just a little cube at the top, and then that rectangular prism underneath. Sorry about my drawing's been a bit awful. So for my little cube at the top, it's 40 high. Across, it will be 80 take 60. See the 80 there and the 60 there? That will leave this area across here, which is what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so 80 take 60 will be 20. I'll write that down. And then the height, that will be a little bit tricky as well. 60 high. Actually, I know it's already given 40. Oh no, which one am I doing? I'm doing the depth, 10. Okay, so 20 times 10 times 40. 20 times 10 times 40. 8,000. So shape 1 is 8,000. That's millimeters cubed. And the bottom shape is going to be 80 across. It's going to be 10 deep. And the height of it is going to be 60 of the whole thing. Take away 40, that part there, and that will give me this part here. Okay, so 60 take 40 equals 20. Therefore, I'm going to be getting 80 times 10 times 20. Equals 16,000. Then I add the two together. 16,000 plus 8,000 is 24,000. 24,000 millimeters cubed. So that's one way of doing it. The other way could have been to figure out the whole thing as like a rectangular prism of sorts, like one real big fat shape, and then you just minus out this area in here. Okay? So the whole shape would have been 60 by 80 by 10. That's the whole. $48,000. And I've got to subtract the missing part, so I'm going to call it missing. Okay? Missing part is 40 high, is 60 across. See the 60 there? And the height, and the depth will be 10. 40 times 60 times 10. 24,000. Then the shape will be whole minus missing. Whole minus missing equals shape. So that will be 48,000 minus 24,000 equals 24,000. Just simple subtraction there. Alright, so for the next one, I'm going to do that way first. I'm going to do the whole minus the missing, and I'll go a little bit faster. Whole 20 times 12 times 3. That's 36 times 2, 720. Again, just use calculator, make sure. I might as well, since I've made mistakes. 20 times 12 times 3. And then the part that we're missing, 13 times 7, 91 times 3, 273. But 7 high, 13 across, 3 deep. 13 times 3 times, put the wrong numbers in. 13 times 7 times 3, 273. And then all I'm doing is I'm doing the whole minus the missing. Some 720 take 273. 447 millimeters cubed. Okay. Now last time we cut across here and we got the cube at the top. You can actually cut it any way you want. So I could have actually had one big long shape like this and then a smaller shape on the side. It's just whatever you think is going to be easier. Although, I'm just checking to see, would I be able to do this? I will be able to do this. Okay, so let's call this shape A and shape B. Shape A is 12 high. Height is 12. The crossways is going to be 20 take 13. So we'll call that width 20 take 13, which is 7. And I'll put D for depth. Depth is just 3. Times 7 times 3 is 252. Now shape B is going to be a height of 12, take away a height of 7 to get this height here. 12 takes 7 is 5. The width, how long across is it? So it is 13 across, it says that there. And it's a depth of 3. 5 times 13 is 65, times 3 is 195. I'll just double check that. And then add them two together. 252 plus 195. And again, my calculator will do it for me. 447. So yeah, you can figure it out any which way you wish. Probably for a shape like this, doing the whole minus the missing is easier than adding up the individual pieces, because the individual pieces you have to do other little calculations. But it just depends on what the shape looks like. For a shape easy like this, where we can clearly see, oh, we're just removing a rectangular prism from a larger rectangular prism, that's fine. But when you've got to do like a number of things, like what if it was a 3D piece like this, then you've obviously got to take away 2 rectangular prisms from the whole. So that might not be quite as easy. But yeah, just do whatever works for you, I guess. Alright, this one, I'll just go, I can see that this is simple shape that I just remove a rectangular prism. So I'm just going to do the whole minus the missing. Okay, whole. 16 times 22 times 4. 1408. Missing. 9 times 15 times 4. Equals 540. Whole minus missing. 1408 minus 540. Like that. Alright. 13. So they're saying 1 times 1 times 1 is a kiloliter. 1 cubic meter equals 1 kiloliter. To me, that's the important thing. The answers are in kiloliters, so I want to be seeing the link between cubic meters and kiloliters. Swimming pool has a depth of 1.5, and these are the other measurements. So that means that this is 1.5. So that means that you're going to have 1.5 times 15 times 5. Okay, and that gets you your answer. They're the three dimensions I needed. 111, 112.5, 112.5. Alright, this one. This one's a bit of a funny one. I'll show you the simple way, and I'll show you the normalish way, and I'll show you a more advanced way next. Okay, so it says 10 times 10 times 10 will give us 1 litre, because we should know 10 times 10 times 10 gives us 1,000 cubic centimeters, and that equals 1 litre. Okay, because we move the decimal place across 3 times. Okay, you have to divide by 1,000 to go from cubic centimeters to litres. Divide by 1,000, you get your 1. So if I put in these numbers in to my calculator, I'm just going to divide by 1,000 again. 7,500 divided by 1,000. 7.5. Okay, so that is the right answer. Now, the way I would do it, and I found it a little bit easier, is just looking at it as ratios compared to 10. So 15 is 1.5 times as big as 10. So I'm just dividing all these by 10. Instead of doing 15, so I don't have to do the divide by 1,000 afterwards, I'm just doing ratio. 15 is 1.5 times what 10 is. 20 is twice as big as what 10 is. 25 is 2.5 times as big as what 10 is. I know that 2 times 2.5 is 5. 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. And if you didn't know that, you've got your calculator. Probably if you know how to do something like that, or if you would have thought to do something like that, yeah, you're going to find LANTITE very straightforward. Alright, school playground measures 12 by 6.5. What is it in meters squared? 16 times 12.5, 200. Done. That's all it is. It's just a playground that looks something like this, 16 and 12.5. So I have to multiply them. If a sheet is 300 mil by 200 mil, what's this area on one side in square meters? That's the key thing. To get square meters, I should have my units in meters. If I multiply these together, this will just give me square millimeters, which I don't really know off by heart, the square millimeter to square centimeter or the square meter comparison. So it's just easy to put this into meters. I know that there's 1,000 millimeters in a meter, so I could just divide this by 1,000. If you didn't know that already, you can just move to centimeters first. Hopefully you know that there's 10. So 300 mil to go to centimeters, we divide by 10, we get 30. Then I've got to divide 30 by 100. 30 divided by 100, 0.3. It's as easy as moving the decimal place 2 across. 1, 2, so the decimal would go there, just like it did here. And it'll be the same thing, same exact pattern for the 200 mil. Then you multiply them together. 0.3 times 0.2, 0.6 cubic meters. It's going to be small, square meters. It's going to be small. A square meter is quite large. A piece of paper that's 30 centimeters by 20 centimeters is not really big. So of course it's not going to be very big at all. Keep in mind as well it's squared because we've got 2 dimensions. 300 mil across and 200 mil up. 2 dimensions, we have a 2 here. For something 3D like this, we've got 3 dimensions. 1, 2, 3. That's why we've got cubic right at the top there. Cubic, 3. Alright, down to this one. What street's perpendicular to Ramsey Street? Well, just in case we can't remember, parallel means going in the exact same direction and the difference between them should always be the same, like train tracks. Perpendicular is when something is at 90 degrees. So when you've got a right angle between two things, between line A and line B, they are perpendicular to each other. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be L like this, it can be L like that. It doesn't have to be one line going straight up, one going straight down. So, if there's Ramsay Street, it's asking what is perpendicular to Ramsay Street, which one will make a perfect capital L? Will it be Hill Street? Nope. It's parallel. Will it be Baker Street? Nope. Will it be Abbey Street? Does that make a capital L between them? It doesn't. Now Penny Street, if I line that up on Penny Street, hopefully you can see that is a capital L. It's just that the orientation is slightly different. Hopefully that looks a bit like a capital L, or at least an inverse of a capital L. That's all it's trying to say. So a perfect T-junction is a capital L is perpendicular. That's exactly what it is. Penny Street is the right answer. Next one I've had to colour in. Which pair of lines are perpendicular? I've coloured this in as from the online version. As we can see, my colouring in is not perfect. So it says what pair of lines is perpendicular? It's actually two pairs. The red and the blue are perpendicular because they make an L shape there. And there's also the red and the black. So red and black is the answer. And 18B is actually the exact same question. Well, actually, red and blue and green. Let me just double check that. Red and black will. And this one, obviously nothing to do with pink. There's no there. Blue and black are actually parallel. Green and blue are. That is perpendicular. Beautiful L shape in there. And red and green are also parallel. So yeah. Sorry, I was a bit confused because I thought the right answer was going to be in a different position. I didn't think it was going to be the third one both times. Anyways, moving on. Side length of each grid in the square below is 300 meters. That sounds important. It's a square as well, which means it's going to be 300 by 300. Okay. Which of these values is closest to the area of the shopping center? So here's a shopping center. Here is the grid that it's in. The square that it's in, sorry. Well, you've got nothing else to go with, except it looks pretty much like half. It's half as big as the rest of that square, which I've done with my little pattern. So if one of these squares is 300 by 300, which the quick way of doing that, 3 times 3 is 9, 2 zeros and 2 zeros is 4 zeros. Then, and again, the calculator tells you for sure. And then all you had to do is half that. $45,000. Just showing the calculator again because I was a bit out of screen. 300 times 300, 90,000. 90,000 divided by 2, 45,000 square meters. Okay, next